our first safety and security meeting, and I say first because this is something that we're going to, this is just a beginning of what we're going to be providing as we continue to grow in our security and changes are made, and safety as well for safety training. And so we're going to be offering not just doing this over again. There will be times when we'll repeat what we're doing tonight for new people, but there will also be other things as we add on to be able to communicate with you so that we, and our goal tonight is to not say that we have, first of all, arrived when it comes to safety and security, but that we're on a journey together with you for our church to be more secure and also to be safer. So just as we go through this process, that you'll be thinking of questions, comments that you'll want to share with us so that we can also maximize the time that we are asking you to be here to provide you with what you need and to help us as well to look at areas in our church that we need to do a better job in. So like I said, we want this to be not just us dispensing information, but also we want to be able to hear from you as well. So, of course, my name is Kurt Jackson. I'm an associate pastor. And then with us tonight, we'll have Christy Johnson, who will be coming up. She'll be leading us in our safety and medical information, and she's the coordinator for that. And then also Troy Westmoreland, and he'll be coming to share with you about the security and what we're doing for security within our church and what we'll be doing in the future. Let me share with you, because this is something that neither one of them are going to share with you, but so that you'll know some information that will be coming soon. And that is that right now, if something was to happen in our children's wing, and we're over in the worship center to get information over there or back, we really don't have a good way for mass notification, but that's changing. With the upgrade in our building, we're also changing out like all of these strobes that have fire. If you were here the Sunday where the fire alarm went off and you heard that noise, once everything is done, you won't hear that noise any longer. It will be an audible recording that will tell you that this is not something for you to stand around about, but to go ahead and make your way out. It will give you a pre-recorded message letting you know about that. That is due to new fire code regulations, and so that will be throughout the facility. But with that in mind, also know that we'll be able to utilize that also for other, maybe not fire-related, but other emergencies, to be able to do mass communications to the people inside the facility. So just to let you know about what is coming that will also help us out in the future. When I got here a couple of years ago, 7 years ago, our security was a deacon walking around, and we have grown from there and are doing much more. We have not only our security officers that are here. I know many of you have met Divine. There we go. She's back there with us. You might not recognize her, right? I said I had to go up and introduce myself to her since she was out of uniform, right? And then Zach, of course, our other police officer as well. And so get to know them as well, and make sure that you help to support them in what they're doing. Let's have a word of prayer, and then I'll call Troy up. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you, and Lord, we thank you for this time that we can meet and become more prepared. Father, we pray that the things that we're learning, that we would never have to use or implement. But Father, we know that things happen in this fallen world. And Father, I ask that you would help us to be prepared to the best of our abilities. Lord, I lift up Troy and Christy as they come to share tonight. And Lord, just ask that you would bless this time together. In Jesus' name, amen. Troy.
Well, Kurt, I appreciate you eating up 10 minutes of my time, so thank you, sir. No, actually, it's just a sign of our times that we're having to actually have this type of meeting. So I can understand having CPR and first aid for a large congregation, but to think that we're having to have a security meeting as well, it just tells you what kind of times we're living in. But we do need to be prepared. And to that end, we have a crisis management guide that hopefully did all of you get one of these from the back? Or at least have access to one? Okay, so everyone has one. I'm just going to go through these real quickly. If you want any clarification, please hold your hand up and I'll give you a real quick clarification. If you happen to see anything on here that maybe in your training or experience is something that we need to change, hang on to that till the end of the meeting and we'll be more than happy to get the information from you and take a look at it. All right? Okay. First thing, if we call 911 from here, you have to make sure that everyone understands on the other end of the phone that we are in Oklahoma County. We are not inside any city limits. Edmond Fire covers us on fire, but Edmond Police Department does not cover us for police. It's Oklahoma County. That's not to say that Oklahoma County won't be busy and they'll contact Edmond to come help, because when I've come here on the alarms before, a couple of times it was an Edmond police officer because Oklahoma County was covered up. That happens. But if you call in an emergency, make sure you tell them we're in Oklahoma County. It's not going to hurt anything if Edmond shows up, but just for clarification purposes for dispatch, because that can cause some confusion. On the front of this, we have all the non-emergency contact numbers. I'm not going to read through those. So if you happen to need some assistance with something, you can call. If there's an incident at the church, myself or Kurt or someone else we designate will be the ones that call 911 for any large incident. That way there's not 8 or 10 people calling at the same time to avoid confusion as well. Now again, if you do call 911, make sure you stay on the line until the dispatcher says that they don't need you any longer. Not only will that help them get more information, it'll also help them to pinpoint your location in case you have to put the phone down. Okay, for a runaway or abduction or a missing child, and a lot of this is going to happen, if it happens, will be down here in the children's wing. Which if you've noticed, that's why we keep a uniformed deputy in the children's wing. It's, you know, with non-custodial parents and things like that, it's, you know, something like this could possibly happen. It's happened in other places. For a runaway, if you're a teacher, we're going to be calling in a code Adam. So if something happens like this, you go to one of the security personnel, myself, Kurt, Zach, Divine, and let them know that you have a code Adam. You don't need to scream it out. You don't need to yell, "Hey, you ran away!" You don't need to do that, because it's going to freak everybody out. You say, "We have a code Adam." Then if you don't remember that, you say, "We have a runaway." But don't yell it. Try to follow the student if you can. If you're a teacher and they're coming out of your classroom, try to follow them. Don't lay hands, okay? We don't want you to do that. That's what Zach and Divine are trained in. Hopefully we can get a whole parent and get them taken care of. But make sure staff know what's going on. If you're a teacher, dispatch someone to security or to the front desk in the children's wing, something so we can get on the radio and start to coordinate our activities. For an abduction or a missing child, again, it's a code Adam. Follow all the same procedures. They're all noted right down here. Again, I'm not going to go over things line by line. Just want to make sure that you're clear that we do have a process in place. Keep this in hand. If you're a teacher, you might want to keep this in your classroom. For personnel roles, I will cover this real quick. The teacher will follow the student if they're a runaway or notify a staff member or uniformed security. Deacons and greeters ensure that no children are allowed to leave the premises during a code atom, even if they're with their parent. Might not be the right parent. Look for those tags. And staff will implement a code atom and alarm or contact the police if necessary, or contact parents or guardians, and/or we will also be the ones that cancel the code atom. Most of that will be running through Kurt right here. He'll be the incident commander if anything happens. I'll be out here. Any accidents or serious injuries or illnesses, please let one of us know. Don't let them bleed out when you go find help. Help them first, but get somebody to come get us. We're going to do a code blue on that. Again, if you don't remember code blue, that's okay. Make sure you get somebody to go get help. Make sure the scene is safe. You know, there's a lot of construction around here. If someone gets into the construction area, gets hold of a live wire or something, it's not going to do any good if we have 5 or 6 people daisy chained with electrocution. Go get help, but stay safe. Make sure someone is designated to call 911. Again, you don't want a lot of confusion on the line with the dispatcher. Get a bystander to contact a staff member. We do have a defibrillator. It's when you first go, if you can figure out how to open the door to the office from the hallway. Those of you that have tried that, it's a little difficult. Pull up on the handle all the way, and it's pull the door. It's completely opposite of what you think. It won't work, I promise. Go in there. The defibrillator's on the wall. Make sure you get that. There's also a first aid kit in there. Take that as well. Medical bags are underneath the visitor's desk, right at the visitor center desk, right here inside the west doors. Have one in the children's area, and there's one by the defibrillator. If emergency involves a child, the staff will contact the parents. And don't handle any bodily fluids without gloves. Okay, it's just very important.
Where's the gloves at?
They're in the first aid kits.
All right, but if you got somebody bleeding immediately, you're gonna need to stop at something.
Well, if you got a first aid kit, put them on when you get the first aid kit. Chances are you're going to know who it is.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't have anything.
That's exactly right.
All right. All right, for tornado, I know if I'm covering this too fast, let me know. I'll be more than happy to back up on something if you want some clarification. On tornadoes, yes ma'am. If they want to call, they'll tell you if they want to call 911 or not. The thing is, they're probably going to be securing the scene. You can go ahead and call 911 or have you designate. If you're handling the emergency, I would rather you handle the emergency. Designate someone else to dial 911. Divine, do you guys have your county radios on you when you're working security? Yeah. You do? Okay. It's possible that they can call you. I beg your pardon? No. I don't want you to take time to go looking for somebody that might have a radio when we can be calling 911. Time is of the essence. Now on a tornado, we're going to announce that from the pulpit. It'll be announced as the code gray. Everybody's going to look at you. What? We have a tornado coming. Okay. So it's we're all Okies. We all want to go take pictures of it when it's coming down on us. Okay, I get that. But remember, you're setting an example for those around you. If you're here, you're expressing an interest in the safety and security of our congregation. So I'm going to nominate every one of you guys to be setting the example when these things happen as to what we need to do. We've got 50 people here. How many do we have in our congregation? 700, 800? You guys are going to be the core that's going to set the example for everyone else in an emergency. So don't get your phone out and go take pictures
of the wall cloud that's a half-mile away. Let's show everybody where these storm shelters are. And there is a map on here on the back. It'll be the campus map for severe weather. It's all interior rooms. Now, granted, this building isn't a tornado shelter, any of the buildings, but it's better than nothing. I'd rather be in here than laying out in the middle of that field. So, teachers, it's very important that if we do have a tornado, if you still got your class roster in your room with you, take that with you, okay? And especially the children. Now, what you might want to do is you might want to have a copy of the roster that stays in the classroom at all times. So if you've already turned your books in, the notebooks in for the morning, if something does happen after that, you can take that roster with you and you can do a head count when everything's said and done. Does everybody get that? Now, I'm not saying it's mandatory, it's just something you might want to think about. And ladies, I know you all like to kick out of your heels when you're in Sunday school. Try to keep your shoes on when you go for emergency. Okay? Just saying. I know that was sexist. I'm sorry. And that was a very poor attempt at humor. Okay, so classroom doors need to remain closed. Stay in a safe area until staff members have told you that it's clear. And also remember that it will be a staff member that calls for the code ready. How many of you guys have weather alerts on your cell phones? Yeah, so don't stand up in the middle of the service and say, the tornado's here! No, we're watching. If it's bad weather, we've got some designated people that are watching the weather. So we'll make an organized announcement and we'll make sure people get the safety. I'm not going to go through the rest of this. A lot of this is some common sense stuff. You know, if you're walking through debris, watch your step, that kind of stuff. Be very careful. Help your neighbor. Fire and emergency evacuations. We had a drill on that. What was that? About 8 months ago? Okay. It didn't go so well. It was an actual fire alarm. Nobody wanted to leave. When you hear the fire alarm go off, leave the building. Go to the south end of the property. Go to the grass. That's 150 feet away from the building. And if you've ever been around a structure fire for a structure this size, that's still going to be too close. Because the heat's going to be about 120, 130 degrees that far out. So just go at least that far. That way you'll also stay out of the way of any fire vehicles or ambulances or anything else that may be coming. We also have an evacuation map in your handout. Children's Wing, PC 106, 108, 109, and 110 all have evacuation cribs. I was going through and checking these the other day, and I didn't have any idea what an evacuation crib was. It's kind of cool. They've got these knobby four-wheel drive tires on them. No, just kidding. But they've got larger wheels than usual that makes them easier to roll. Had no idea those things even existed. So that's pretty cool. In case of an internal fire where the exits are blocked, break a window. I think we can all do that. So pick up a chair, put it through the window. Don't use your hand. You get cut, and we have to have first aid. Not a good deal. Yes. Yeah, Nancy asked if with the new system, if there will be a message saying it was a false alarm. It will actually, Kurt will be able to access the system from his phone and give real-time announcements over those speakers. And then I'm loud enough that I can make sure everybody hears that they can go back inside and that it's all clear.
But if you're inside the building and it's the middle of the evacuation and we find out it was a false alarm, we'll also broadcast that as well. But that's gonna, yeah, if it's a false alarm, known false alarm, some little kid pulled the alarm or something. I'm trying to give everybody the benefit of the doubt here. Not helping Emily. Yeah, we'll handle it as needed. You will know. What will probably happen is we'll get everybody out of the building first, just to double check, and then we'll let you back in. So.
Kurt's on vacation. Somebody else will have this.
Yeah, that'll be me.
Okay.
Or one of the other staff members. Yes. You know, that's Kurt go on vacation. You're funny. Once this goes into place, he's never getting off work again. Those of you that are on the security team, and by the way, if you want to join the security team, holler at me. I'll tell you that I'll make sure you get the secret handshake and the special little badging and everything that does absolutely nothing for you, so that you can join it. Men, women, doesn't matter. That brings me to the point. I'm kind of off topic, but I'm about to get into the unwanted intruders section. And New York City started this after 9/11, and it's really it works. It's very simple. If you see something, say something. If it doesn't look right, let somebody know. If you see somebody that looks suspicious in the church, let someone know. I'll send Kurt right over there. We've had some folks say, no, those people don't look right, and they were just visiting. They weren't from around here. They didn't look like us. They were visiting. But the guy down in Texas that shut up that church wasn't a member of that church either. Okay? We're trying to avoid those types of situations. That's why this next section is very important. Don't roll it yet, Ron. Just a second. We've got a couple of videos we're going to watch, and then we'll go over what our actions are here. Now, one thing I want you to be clear of, well, I'll deal with that here in a little bit. Yes.
Do we have a method of contact for you all besides sending a runner to try and find people to put them down? And 911, you can call that, but internally, it's not something you like to sure you can identify somebody. You have a way to get hold of them.
The best way would be during our service, someone may have hands in the office, and they have radio communication with us.
So that's what I
And
was
see,
trying to
and I go to early services, but I've always got a radio on me and on. I've got an earpiece so that I can, you know, we've got anywhere from 5 to 7 people with radios all the time, just to make sure that we can get the message if need be. If you wanted to join the security team, I can show you how to do that.
He was on it.
But I mean, I'm kind of being humorous here, but really in all seriousness, if you do see something, say something, let someone know. You know, even if you can't find one of us, look at your neighbor and say, hey, did you see that? Or they may know where one of us is, maybe, and they may have our phone number. You never know. You know, it's 6 degrees of separation. You never know who's going to know who. So let somebody know. Okay, Ron.
It may feel like just another day at the office, but occasionally, life feels more like an action movie than reality. The authorities are working hard to protect you and to protect our public spaces. But sometimes bad people do bad things. There motivations are different. The warning signs may vary, but the devastating effects are the same. And unfortunately, you need to be prepared for the worst. If you were ever to find yourself in the middle of an active shooter event, your survival may depend on whether or not you have a plan. The plan doesn't have to be complicated. There are 3 things you could do that make a difference. Run, hide, fight. First and foremost, if you can get out, do. Always try and escape or evacuate, even when others insist on staying. Encourage others to leave with you, but don't let them slow you down with indecision. Remember what's important, you, not your stuff. Leave your belongings behind and try to find a way to get out safely. Trying to get yourself out of harm's way needs to be your #1 priority. Once you are out of the line of fire, try to prevent others from walking into the danger zone and call 911. If you can't get out safely, you need to find a place to hide. Act quickly and quietly. Try to secure your hiding place the best you can. Turn out lights, and if possible, remember to lock doors. Silence your ringer and vibration mode on your cell phone. And if you can't find a safe room or closet, try to conceal yourself behind large objects that may protect you. Do your best to remain quiet and calm. As a last resort, if your life is at risk, whether you are alone or working together as a group, fight. Act with aggression. Improvise weapons. Disarm. And commit to taking the shooter down, no matter what. Try to be aware of your environment. Always have an exit plan. Know that in an incident like this, victims are generally chosen randomly. The event is unpredictable and may evolve quickly. The first responders on the scene are not there to evacuate or tend to the injured. They are well trained and are there to stop the shooter. Your actions can make a difference for your safety and survival. Be aware and be prepared. And if you find yourself facing an active shooter, there are 3 key things you need to remember to survive. Run, hide, fight.
stand by for further information.
Tragedies such as the 2007 mass shooting on the campus of Virginia Tech, the 2009 shooting at the Fort Hood, Texas military post, and the 2011 attempted assassination of Representative Gabrielle Giffords at a public appearance in Arizona are all examples of active shooter situations. An active shooter is an individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people inside an occupied structure or outside in a populated area. In most cases, there is no pattern or method to their selection of victims. Active shooter situations are unpredictable and evolve quickly. It is important to be prepared for such an event. Make it a practice to identify potential escape routes and have a plan in mind, even if you are just visiting a facility. In the event of a shooting at your location, you must quickly determine the most reasonable way to protect your own life. You will need to determine if the best course of action is to evacuate or to hide. Call 911 when it is safe to do so. If there is an accessible escape route, attempt to evacuate. Be sure to leave your belongings behind. Help others escape if possible, but do not attempt to move wounded people. Evacuate regardless of whether others agree to follow. Warn individuals not to enter an area where the active shooter may be, and follow the instructions of any police officers. If evacuation is not the best option, find a place to hide where the shooter is less likely to find you. And be sure your hiding place does not trap or restrict you or your options for movement. Consider the difference between cover and concealment. Cover will protect you from gunfire, and concealment will hide you from the view of the shooter. Quickly choose the best option. If you are caught out in the open and cannot conceal yourself or take cover, you might consider trying to overpower the shooter with whatever means are available. To protect your hiding place, lock the door if you can. Block the door with heavy furniture, and close, cover, and move away from windows. Hide behind large items such as cabinets or desks. Remain quiet. Silence your cell phone and or pager. Even the vibration setting can give away a hiding position. When you call 911, remember to tell the operator the location of the active shooter. If there are multiple shooters, physical description of and number of weapons held by the shooter, as well as the number of potential victims at the location. When law enforcement arrives on the scene, their primary goal is to eliminate the threat and stop the shooter as soon as possible. First responders will not be able to stop to help injured persons until the environment is safe. Knowing what to expect will help keep you calm and allow law enforcement to quickly neutralize the threat. Officers may arrive in teams with tactical equipment such as vests, helmets, and rifles. They will need to take command of the situation. Expect to experience officers shouting orders and even pushing people to the ground for their safety. It is possible that officers from multiple jurisdictions will arrive on the scene. When law enforcement officials arrive, it is important that you keep your hands visible at all times. Avoid making any sudden movements. Avoid pointing, screaming, and or yelling. Put down any items. Immediately raise your hands and spread your fingers. Remain calm and follow instructions. Do not stop to ask officers for help when evacuating. Just proceed in the direction from which officers are entering the location. For more awareness resources, please visit dhs.gov/critical infrastructure.
Anybody scared yet? No, I went through about 4 days of training to learn how to deal with these situations. Still don't know exactly what's going to happen, where it's going to happen, okay? So, that's some good information. Kurt and I are working on putting together an actual training for the church for active shooter situations. The methods of escape and evading and all this stuff has been changing and evolving, unfortunately, as more of these incidents happen. So we'll try to help you, you get an idea of what you need to do, what you can do, in case something like this happens. Again, I'm not going to run down this list line by line. But take a look at this. A lot of what's on here was covered in those videos. The best thing you can do, if you can do so safely, is get out of the building. Run. If you happen to be someone that is a holder of a Oklahoma Self-Defense Act, license and you have your firearm, doesn't mean you're John Wayne. Okay? If you get trapped in a room, then you've got a way to protect yourself. Without any type of specific training or anything, I don't expect you to go hunting down an active shooter. Okay, just to put that out there. If you can't get out and you've got a room full of children, make sure they stay quiet. Lock the doors, and we're working on making sure that we've got ways to make sure the doors stay closed. Yeah, we've got some things that we can do with the doors to make sure they never open without a lock or anything. And just I'm not going to get into specifics. So we are looking at this particular section especially is constantly evolving. We may release another one of these with updates to this in 6 months from now. So this is a worst case scenario. I hope I never, ever, ever have to see one of these. But if we do see one, we can reduce the number of people involved by being prepared. And that's what every bit of this is about being prepared for the worst eventuality. Now, does anybody have any questions or want any clarifications on the things that we've covered here tonight? I know it wasn't that thorough. Come on, guys. Okay. I will tell you one more thing before Kurt gives me the hook. Go to the Department of Homeland Security website. They've got a lot of really good information on this stuff. They can help you to be a little more prepared, mentally prepared if nothing else. You have an idea of what you want to do in case something like this happens. In the meantime, if I go back to if you see something, say something. You guys are spread all throughout the church, throughout both services. Let us know if you see something that doesn't look quite right. If we don't know about it, we can't do anything about it. Yes, sir. That's going to be Pastor George. Please call the office.
No pastor.
With us having the broadcast capabilities we'll be having by the next several months, we don't want them to panic either. Okay, any other questions? Good question. Yes, sir. We can use the same deals we do for a kid that wanders off. What do we do in case a senior citizen wanders off? And we can use a lot of the same procedures we use for a kid. Nancy, you've already had 2 questions. Oh, you're the wanderer. Okay. All right. Now that I get. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Let me share with you. If there's certain senior adults that wander off, we probably never mind. All right. So I'll leave it at that. But in all seriousness, if you do see something, you see somebody wandering off that you know maybe already is having either issues with dementia or Alzheimer's, something like that. First of all, let us know about that as well, and that will help us out. If we know someone who's still attending, is here a spouse, but they're going through, that will help us to be alert of those situations. Just a reminder too, that our security office is inside the office, okay, and it is located inside of what was Hillary's office, which is now Katie's office, okay? So when you walk in the main office area, okay, there's a reception,
It's just the office there to the right. They can see out that doorway. That doorway is left open so they can see if you're coming in and need you. But that would be where to go in case you need to find somebody who would then be able to quickly communicate with everybody else. Also in the children's wing, if you're down in that area, Emily and them, they are able to communicate very clearly in a quick manner, right? And so, but you can check with them. One of the things that you'll also note is for our officers that are here, we try to keep them in different areas, okay? So a lot of times, depending upon the time of the activity, so during the worship time, coming and going, a lot of times you'll see Divine out towards the front, and she tries to maintain that area basically to the half-court line, right? And then the half-court line towards the youth and children. Zach covers that a lot of the times. Also, just to let you know who is watching the cameras and doing all that security, we have two different groups that help us with that. Our deacons help us on that on Sunday mornings, and they do a great job of that. And so, but that doesn't mean that they couldn't use some more help. And so you can contact the deacons if you say, hey, I'd like to be able to possibly step in to help to do that. That would be up to the deacon body on that Sunday, the Sunday morning time frame. So what happens is we have a deacon of the week who is also patrolling the area, and the deacon who was deacon of the week before, they're watching the cameras. And then on Wednesday night, we have Bob Eimel has taken on the task of getting a lot of our gentlemen and others to be able to be here on Wednesday nights, and covers that. So if you would be interested in volunteering to help on the security issues on Wednesday night, I know that you have two, isn't that correct? So we'll have not only have our officer here, but we'll have one that's patrolling, and we have also one. So they are all on radios and are communicating. The children's wing has those radios as well. And if you can find Bob Eimel, he always has a radio as well, and so does Troy, and the officers are carrying radios as well. So they're able to communicate in a pretty quick fashion there. All right? Any other questions in regards to that? And just to let you know, what are basically the three basics that we've learned in an active shooter? Run, hide, fight, right? Okay, and it's really in that order, and sometimes can be a combination of those. Okay, so if it's clear, run, and if it's me, I'm going to just keep running. Okay, I'm just going to be doing a Forrest Gump. They're going to probably have to stop me. All right. So you want to make sure that you're clear. If you've got responsible for class and you're getting it happening at that time, you'll want to make sure that you do that as a group, and that you don't wait and do a vote and have a business meeting in your Sunday school class. That was one of the reasons why they said that if you make that decision, you move forward, you commit to that decision, you encourage those that you can. That doesn't mean you drag them kicking and fighting. If they've decided that their best method would be to hide, then you're going to have to, and yours is to flee, then that's what you're going to have to do. Okay, so the other thing that is interesting to me is that you don't immediately, on an active shooter, you don't immediately get on the phone and call 911. The first thing is to get to a safe place. Then we're going to call. A lot of times there's going to be others that have already made that phone call. That doesn't keep you from, once you've found a safe place, to be able to do that as well. All right? Very good. Also, to let you know, I know sometimes it may have been an inconvenience to you, or maybe to some in your Sunday school class, or those that you communicate with, that a door, you've come, you've walked out, you've put some things in, and you've come back, and the door is locked. That's because it's been that way on purpose, okay? What we're trying to do is eliminate, we're not like a lot of churches nowadays that are built that have one entrance and one exit. One of our biggest issues is that we have multiple exits. So we've got, and entrances. We've got the youth, we've got the West Hall, we've got the entrance between the gym and the youth building. We've got the west door, the front door, the east door, the children's wing. And then we've got a door between the children's wing and the rest of us. We either physically lock those, or we use our magnetic locks on some of those doors and secure those. We try to make sure that we aren't inconveniencing people. That's not what our goal is. But we want to try to take that balance as much as we can, and to be safe and to limit access into the building. So the front doors on Sunday morning, they're going to be staying open, okay? But this west door, after about 11:15, it locks down, as does the youth door, the children's door. And so you'll want to make sure, and that also helps us in being able to, those who are watching the cameras, to know those doors are locked, so there shouldn't be anyone coming in or out those doors. So just to let you know about that. But if you're inconvenienced, I'm sorry, okay? If someone else is inconvenienced and they're sharing that with you, you let them know that Griff is sorry, okay? But that's what we're trying to do, is to keep that balance of making sure that people feel welcomed and received and be able to get in and out of the building, but also balancing that out with the security issue. Okay. Yes?
If you're in Sunday school up in the back or in the upper area
Yes.
there, and there's an active shooter, is there fire escapes, or is it only the stairs?
Yeah, great question. So if you're upstairs, there's two ways that you can get out, okay, safely. One is the stairway that just got put in, right, our new stairway,
Right.
and the other is on the end of both halls. There are exits that go out, and there are stairs that go outside
Okay.
there.
Never paid attention.
Yeah, in fact, that's a great question, because, and you'll look on your map and you'll be able to see all of the different exits that there are within our building. But one of the things, we thought we were going to have to move all of our Sunday school classes upstairs for a Sunday, because we didn't think we could be able to get the old stairs out and the new stairs in, because with only one set of stairs, we couldn't have occupancy up there because of fire issues. So now that that's there, and then also just to let you know, with our new system, once everything is upgraded, if there's an announcement, you'll be able to hear that no matter where you are. If you're in the worship center, it actually cuts off the sound and basically comes in over that sound. It's going to, in some areas, there'll be speakers that are going to be installed, and other ones it's going to be coming through the fire strobes. So there'll be a lot better communication for us campus-wide once that's done. Okay? Yeah, what we want to do is we want to get out. The next thing is the fire department, they come in. They will be able to help us, and then there'll be a designated person that would go in to find out it's all safe. I'll give you, for instance, for the time that happened last time, okay, where everybody should have left, okay, because it was an actual fire alarm that was going off, okay, but it was a faulty fire alarm, okay. Now, we don't know that, so what do? You get out, okay, because in that same area a few years ago, there was one that went out, and it wasn't faulty. There was actually a motor that had burned out on one of the HVAC units that had caused smoke and could have also caused a fire. So, but what we do within our system, we're able to locate the general area, and then we have to go to each one of those units to find out which one is faulty, which one is having the issue. Yeah, that's why he says drop everything and go on out. All right, very good. So, but maybe if you kept donuts in your car for us, yeah, there we go. All right, very good. Nancy will put you in charge of that. Awesome. So we'll know that Nancy's all right. That's right. All right. Thank you very much, Christy. She's in the restroom. Man, here comes Christy. All right, we're gonna shift gears and try to maximize our time. And Christy is our safety medical team coordinator, and she's going to come up and share with us some exciting news. And if you've come here to do mouth to mouth, you're at the wrong place. All right, very good.
Do you remember that? And when you would go to the bathroom, they could see. All right, my name is Christy Thompson. I am, that is way too loud. Can you hear me now? So I am the team leader of the medical team. The team is very new, we're growing, we're looking for ways to kind of expand the way that we serve. It was interesting because when Griff asked me to look into it, so the first thing I did was started to look at other churches. I called other churches, and really we're unique in the fact that nobody else has a program like this except for First Baptist Mustang. That's the one church in the area that I could find that has a program like we have. So a lot of them have AEDs, but you can pay to have that program managed, and I think that's what many churches do. So we, again, are unique in the aspect that we have an AED program that's managed here, which is part of what I do, and then we also have to have a medical director on site for that, and that is Dr. Carey. So he has taken over that role. So again, very much in our infancy, so we're open to any comments, any suggestions. We're always open to volunteers and to look at ways to move things forward. So our team is comprised of church members that have agreed to participate in training and respond in the event of an emergency. And our first goal really was to obtain an AED. And God came through hugely on that, because right after we had started looking at forming the team, someone donated an AED to the church. So we have that, and then our big goal this year is to train church-wide how to use the AED and how to do CPR. So we chose citizen CPR for that because it's easy. It's really quick training, it's just hands-on training, it's not at all intimidating. Of course, if you wanted further training later, that's something we could always do. That's something I can always do with you on a one-on-one basis or a group, but citizen CPR is so easy that my goal or my idea is for us to set it up during church, and catch people as they come and go on either Sunday after church or Wednesday evenings, things like that, and just grab people and say, hey, we'll do this real quick, and then show them how the AED works and go from there. So it's appropriate that we're doing this month because October is Sudden Cardiac Arrest Awareness Month. So sudden cardiac arrest is the leading cause of death in the United States. It kills approximately 325,000 people each year. So if you suffer an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest, your chances of survival are approximately 10%. With early CPR and defibrillation, your chances of survival go up to about 40%. So that's why it's so important in any circumstance that someone know how to do CPR, because most cardiac arrests happen in a public setting followed by happening at home. So let's see, sorry Ron, you're going to have to follow me on all this, but so the next slide, sudden cardiac arrest is not the same thing as a heart attack. Many people think it is, it's not. Sudden cardiac arrest can happen to anyone, any age, any time. There are things that of course put us more at risk, but it can happen to anybody. And it just basically is your heart's electrical system just malfunctions and you go into cardiac arrest and you have no pulse, you're not breathing, your chances of survival are slim, again, if somebody does not step right in and help you immediately. So victims of sudden cardiac arrest are going to die without question if they don't have immediate action. So when bystander CPR is not provided and defibrillation does not happen, 7 to 10% decrease in your chance of survival for every minute that is delayed. So, and then CPR and defibrillation, when we have those early, again, you go from 10% chance of survival up to 40% chance of survival if that's fast and happening. So less than half, sadly, it's like 46% of people that suffer an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest actually get the help that they need before first responders get there. So that's just a huge area for education as far as for us to work on in the church and then outside of. But so citizen CPR was developed by the Red Cross, and it was developed to teach you hands-on CPR. So it takes out the rescue breathing, it takes out sitting in a class for hours. It's just a really quick way to teach you CPR. And I will say in citizen CPR that it is geared toward the adult victim. So when you're dealing with children and you have a child that's in cardiac arrest, there likely is a respiratory component to that. So if I were doing, and I would encourage you as well, should you come up on a child or a young person that is in cardiac arrest, they need to have rescue breaths because they're, again, behind what is happening with them is likely a respiratory event. So I hadn't decided how I was going to do this until we had people here to see how many people were here. So we're going to watch the videos and we're going to talk about all this, and then we can do questions and all that, and then we'll break into just practicing for whoever. I know a lot of you probably already have CPR training, so I would say to that, then you do what you are trained to do and act to your level of training. But we'll watch the video here.
Hands-only CPR. Cardiac emergencies can happen anywhere. Be prepared with a simple technique known as hands-only CPR. You can learn it in minutes, it's easy to remember, and it can help save a life. You will need the willingness to act and a few simple skills. Whenever possible, use disposable gloves when providing emergency care. Step 1. If you see someone suddenly collapse, check the scene for safety and then see if the person responds to you by tapping them on the shoulder and shouting, "Are you okay?" Step 2. Briefly look for breathing. Step 3. If they don't respond, call or send someone to call 911 or the local emergency number right away. Step 4. If the person is not breathing or is gasping, prepare to give chest compressions. Kneel beside them and put the heel of one hand on the center of their chest. Place your other hand over that hand, lacing your fingers together. Position your shoulders directly over your hands, keeping your arms straight and your fingers off the chest. Step 5. Push hard and fast, at least 2 inches, then let the chest rise completely before pressing down again. Don't take your hands off the chest, just your weight. Step 6. Keep going. Do not stop compressions until the person shows an obvious sign of life like breathing. The scene becomes unsafe. An automated external defibrillator or AED is ready. You're too exhausted to continue, or a trained responder takes over. Step 7. Get training and encourage others to do so by taking an American Red Cross health and safety course. Knowing full CPR, chest compressions, and breaths will enable you to help in other emergencies such as drowning and choking. Every household should have at least one person trained in life-saving skills. Did you know? Most people who survive a cardiac emergency are helped by a bystander. To find your local Red Cross chapter, visit redcross.org.
This is our AED from the office. We're not going to practice with this AED because when we do, it runs the battery down and they're expensive to replace. But should you need it, this is the AED that you would pull out. And to turn this AED on, you just pull this handle down, or you can turn the green, or you can push the green button. But if you pull the handle down, it automatically turns it on. It's literally going to walk you through everything that you need to do, including CPR. It is going to tell you to give rescue breaths. If you choose not to do that, then you just continue to do compressions. So what this does is it reads the rate and rhythm of the victim, and it's going to deliver a shock should they need it. If they do not need it, then it's not going to. It's going to just tell you to continue CPR, to continue rescue breathing. It can detect a pulse, so when it tells you, okay, stop, we're going to do the pulse check. Should they have a pulse, then it's going to say put them in recovery position and just monitor them until EMS arrives. If you were to encounter anyone that is unresponsive, or if you witness someone suddenly collapse, you want to go and get this.
Is there only one of these in the church?
Huh?
Is there only one of these?
There's only one for right now in the church, yes.
In an office?
It's in the office, yeah.
The main office?
The main office, yeah. Yeah. We put it in the most central area where it was most likely to be used, where most people gather, where the more mature of us gather is where we're going to be most likely to use it, so that's why it's in the office there. But later, ideally, we have another AED. So they're very expensive. I mean, they're around $2,000. So to have one is good for now. But so how to use it? You're gonna, first of all, we kind of went through this process before as far as calling 911. I would say if you're by yourself, we all have smartphones now. Dial 911, turn on the speaker, go get the AED, start doing CPR, and you're talking to him the whole time on speakerphone. So you take the AED unit to the victim, you're going to turn it on, and then it's going to literally walk you through everything that you need to do. Again, it's located in the church office, so it's important. Some OSHA statistics, I'm a numbers person, I know, but so over 10,000 cardiac arrests a year occur at the workplace. That is an OSHA statistic, and also is less than half of people can tell you where an AED is at the place of employment. So it's important to know where they are, and it's important to know how to use them. It is, yes, it is on the very back. Kurt, is it on the very back map? You can see it from the hallway. There is a big sign up there that says AED. So there's a sign on the glass. That is where you will find that. They're really easy to use. I mean, they're set up to just walk you through everything that you need to do. You could have never taken a class in anything, grab an AED, and it's going to tell you exactly what you need to do. In the AED, you're going to have scissors. There's a face mask. There's a face shield in here should you choose to do rescue breathing. If that's your level of training and you choose to do that, that is in here for you. There's a razor in here. We'll go on and watch the video, yeah, and then we'll do. So this video covers the actual AED that we have.
AEDs can help people like you deliver therapy as quickly and safely as possible. While the idea of using one can be intimidating to an inexperienced or stressed responder, the good news is Philips on-site AED is actually really easy to use. All you have to do is open the AED by pulling this lever down, and the device turns on automatically.
Begin by removing all clothing from the patient's chest. Cut clothing if needed.
Then, just follow the clear and calm voice instructions.
Look carefully at the pictures on the white adhesive pads. Peel one pad from the yellow plastic liner. Place pad exactly as shown in the picture. Press firmly to patient's bare skin.
The on-site itself walks you through the entire rescue process and lets you do it at your own pace. Once the pads are on the victim, the system itself will analyze the victim's heart rhythm and tell you when to deliver shock, if and only if the victim actually needs it.
Shock not advised. If needed, begin CPR.
And it even coaches you through CPR. It's just that easy. Innovation and you. Philips.
Okay, so that is the defibrillator that we have. Some considerations when you're using this. The cabinet that this is in is alarmed and it is very loud. And it's loud to alert someone else that you have opened this and you may need help. So don't turn the alarm off, and when you open it, mainly the alarm's way back in there, so it's hard to find and turn off, but don't shut the cabinet, because if you were by yourself, then that's gonna let somebody else know something's going on. You're gonna remove their clothing, man or woman, from the waist up, and a bra and everything comes off, and that you can use the scissors for that. You just need to be able to get those pads on, and you can't have anything in the way obstructing that. Shave the chest if needed with the razor that's in here. If somebody has a really hairy chest, it's not going to make contact well. And if they do have a really hairy chest, just shave it first, because we only have one set of adult pads. And if you try to put those on, then pull them off, and you've pulled a bunch of hair off with them, it doesn't connect as well as it should. So there's a razor in there. Wipe their chest if they're wet or sweaty. You can do that with a shirt that you cut off. Don't place AED pads over the nipples, medication patches, or any visibly implanted device. Some people have ports, some people have defibrillators, pacemakers, things like that. You'll see those. They're really obvious if someone were to have one. And then medication patches, they can just cause a burn. So you want to be sure and take those off. And on that, I would say, and this kind of just gets into being a lot to remember, but just kind of be mindful of what you're taking off, because some people can wear pain patches and things like that, and when you absorb that into your skin, it can make you sick. So, do not use an AED in standing water, and by that I mean, so if it were to be raining and we were to need to use it outside, that's fine, but if you were to be somebody, some kind of drowning incident or something like that, you want to get people out of the water as much as possible, and then get them dried off and put the AED on. So, you can use, it is completely fine to use adult pads on a child. We have pediatric pads here, but then that's something else that just is another layer of something to have to remember. So it would just be myself or someone on the medical team that would change it out to the pediatric pads for the child. So it's not going to hurt them to use adult pads on a pediatric patient. And then, let's see. I think that's about all in the AED. Are there any questions on using the AED before I go on? I do. I'll do that. Yeah. Yeah. It will. So it will say shock advised, and then there's going to be this button right here is going to start lighting up. And it's going to say, do not touch the patient, make sure no one is touching the victim, is what it'll say. And then it's going to say push the orange button that's blinking, and then you'll push that and it will shock them. Some of them give 3 consecutive shocks if it is needed. This one does not. So it may have you doing that multiple times. Yep. Yep. And it'll say continue CPR, or it'll say shock advised. It just literally, it'll walk you right through. There's really, honestly, that's what I always tell people when I'm teaching these classes, is do something is better than doing nothing. You're not going to mess anything up. It's already a dire situation, and you cannot make it any worse. So act and do something, because you could really save someone's life. So, and I have AED trainers over there that we can practice with also, similar to these, in the way that they'll walk you through what we do. They're not Phillips, but there's, just kind of, they're all similar in the way that they work. So. And first aid kits. So we have a first aid kit. I'm going to grab. This is the first aid kit that we have in the AED cabinet. So it's just a small one. They're all going to have face shields. They have gloves. They have blankets. They have first aid guides in here. I purposely didn't put CPR guides in here because I don't want anyone trying to read anything. I want you just to, my prayer in all this is that we're educated and we have the confidence to act when we need to. And I don't want you to second guess yourself or be looking at things and thinking you're not doing something right. We just, we want to act. And that's why those CPR guides I decided not to put in here. But it has everything else that you may need for a minor incident. And by minor incident, we mean if this happened to you at home, you would not go to the doctor. If it's something that somebody should go to the doctor, we can start helping here, but they need, we need to make sure that they follow through with getting care. So, this is the bigger first aid kit. This has everything that you could possibly need in it. And it is under the desk here at the west entrance. This is in the AED cabinet with the AED. And there should be, Steve, is there still one over here? I think there is, isn't there? A first aid kit? Do you know? So there's one over here, and then there's first aid kits in the children's area. Every room. Yeah. It's under the welcome desk. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a great big. That's why I tried to get something big and obviously orange. Information desk. Okay. It's under the information desk. So that is really about all I had for this part. Again. Should you, and something else I usually always say, should you be concerned, you're covered by the Good Samaritan Act, so if you're There you go.
Years ago, like, young training, and doing it on a personal and long time, they were certified. Still get that over, you still get it over again.
I mean, I think you continue doing what you're doing. If that's what you're comfortable with, then absolutely. That's just, I think it's just a person. I think that's personal. I mean, if I were doing CPR and I didn't have any training at all, and somebody came in, if I were trying to do it and didn't have any training, and I felt like they were going to be able to be of more help, then I would certainly back out of the way. Yeah. So it's just, I mean, I think of it all as that we're trying to help someone here. You know, there's no room for egos or anything like that. I mean, we're just all for one goal of coming together to help someone who's desperately needs it. So, I'm trying to think of anything else. Most of us on the medical team are medical. We do work in the medical field. I've been a nurse for 18 years now, and my career's been spent in emergency nursing. So, and Dr. Carey, there are other nurses on the team as well. So most of us are medical people, but certainly not all of us. So we are, like I said, we're always looking for volunteers. We'll happily train you. I think that is about it, really, for what I had. Other than just practicing now, if there are any other questions, I'll answer those now. But otherwise, we can. Who in here has CPR training? Who is? Okay. So you would refer to your training when it comes to what you need to do. And the ones that don't have CPR training and you'd like to get some hands-on training, or you'd like to look at the AED training or anything like that, that's all in there. And we'll do that here in just a second.
Just one real quick question. Can you tell me why they went away from the breathing? I mean, I've gone through 5 different kinds of CPR. All of them are different.
So why did they move away from teaching rescue breathing? Now, in most classes, they have not moved away from teaching rescue breathing. In most classes, it's still, we're going to teach you, say, if I were teaching a CPR class, what I'm going to teach you is to do 30 compressions, 2 rescue breaths. So that's the standard. Now, they've moved away from it with hands-on CPR just because, you know, they say you have a 10% chance of survival. You have a 90% chance of dying if you have an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. So that's why they just teach hands-on CPR now. It's just because it's less intimidating, and I can go, and I don't even have to take my mannequins. They make these little compression things, and I can go teach that at work, at someone's place of employment or something like that. And then it's just an easy way to teach people to do it that's not intimidating. It's not an intimidating class. It's, you know, you don't have to take a test. You don't have to do any of that. It's just a good way to educate for community education. So, but you're right. It is still 32. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of different stuff in here. So there's different medications in here. So there's aspirin in here. And that's just kind of, again, you have a tourniquet. I have a tourniquet in here. Yeah, I have tourniquet. I have there's big bandages in here. We have aspirin in here just in case anybody were to have chest pain here, if they would like to take that. But you know, I can't give it to you, but it's in here for you to take if you would like to take it. But yes, there are tourniquets in here. I would like to eventually get better tourniquets in here. Right now, we just have basic, very basic tourniquets. So, and then another thing I would like to get eventually are some bigger blanket towel type things, should we have an incident like we were watching before, which just, you do, very good, okay. But otherwise, it's just basic stuff, splints, ice packs, Tylenol, there's burn cream in here, aloe vera gel, things like that. And that's right, yeah, and because the intent of this is really just if it's a minor, something minor, you know, should I cut my finger or something like that, we can get you a Band-Aid. There's really nothing in here other than tourniquets that you would use in an emergency. And there's a splint in here should somebody break something. No. Nope. Mm-mm. No, I didn't put anything like that in there. Just because it kind of gets into overstepping. You know, especially for us that it just kind of gets into, if you do have a license, you kind of get into overstepping what you're allowed to do legally. So, yeah. And there was something else that's. Yes, they have first aid kits in the children's wing on the back of every door. Correct? On the back of every door. Okay. And theirs will not have medications or anything like that in them, so that's probably why I should keep this off the floor. You know, I just thought about that. It's probably not a good idea to have it under the desk on the floor for that reason. So, but anything else? I just want to thank you all for coming because it is important. It means that, you know, you could.
Thank you, Christy.
I want to thank Christy and Troy both for all the work that they've been doing, all of our other volunteers, from Bob Eimel to all of our deacons and all those who serve on our committees and teams and leadership. And I want to thank you guys for being here tonight as well. We are going to be concluding, but Troy will be here if you want to give him a question, or maybe you just want to say something, an idea that you have for him or for me. I'll be here, and Christy's going to be here also as well. She's got, looks like some kind of science fiction movie thing going on over on the ping pong table, so that you guys can go over there if you want to get a little bit more training before you head out. Anything else? All right. Well, let's close with a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you, Lord. We do thank you for the time that we've been able to share together. Father, my prayer is that in case there is an emergency, Lord, that we would seek wisdom and guidance from you as we move forward, as we respond to any situation. Father, I ask that you would help us to be prepared, Lord, that as leaders, Father, that we would help and not hinder, Lord, as we would respond. Father, I thank you again for this time that we've been able to learn and to grow, and Lord, to be able to be on the same